So it's time to talk about probably the most interesting / frustrating team in the NBA once again, 76ers. Big break in the NBA season, as you all know, if you were not living under a rock. And Philly was already the weirdest team in the league. Unbeatable at home, bad on the road, and we get it. Awkward offense, spacing. One night Embiid is great, next night he's okay. Ben Simmons has been better than him all season. Maybe not all season, but definitely since after the first month or so. Horford has not been great. Tobias has been cool, not awesome. The bench is pretty thin. Is Brett Brown a good coach? These things have been talked about a million times. But now we have the extra thing of we got a big break right in the middle of the season. So what the hell is this whole thing going to look like? Well, this is what I think. I think we need to give up on the idea of the 76ers offense being fluid and pretty and, frankly, even that good. I think at this point, the goal for Philly, when we come back, is they need to be incredible defensively. And they still have the personnel for that, okay? Between Embiid, Horford, Simmons, Richardson, Thibault. Tobias is not a above average defender, but he's at least a big body who's not terrible, right? Just be that team. Be the team who dominates on the glass on both sides, offensive boards and not giving up offensive boards, protecting the rim like crazy, and just being the great defense they're supposed to be. And then hopefully the offense will just kind of figure itself out. That's the avenue at this point. I mean, Philly's offense was already not working. There's no way it's going to flip some sort of switch given the time off. It's just not going to happen. That being said, we have seen teams be amazing on defense and good on offense. When I say good, I mean 11th in offensive rating. Closer to mediocre than good, if we're being honest. You can win and be very successful with that sort of a model. This is the thing I always say with Ben Simmons. He's setting screens. I mean, that's the big one, is setting screens, because then he can get himself going to the basket and whatever else. Setting screens in the half court, pushing it in transition as he always does. In a perfect world, he would be attempting some corner threes. I don't think that's going to happen, so I'm not even really going to dive into it. But still, I think Simmons is just... He's a big enough and athletic enough dude to where if he's just setting screens on and off the ball, I really do believe that's enough to get him his 17, 18 points a game against whoever Philly may meet in the postseason. And then if you can get him matched up against smaller guys, then perhaps we could see him bodying some dudes out of the way. Celtics, that would be Kemba. For Miami, that would be Dragic or Kendrick Nunn or Hero. Against Indiana, that would be Brogdon. If they were going to meet the Raptors, I would say Kyle Lowry, but Lowry's impossible to post up on. Bledsoe is tough to post up on with Milwaukee, but he's not as tough as Lowry, I would say. So yeah, that's my Ben Simmons spiel, because the rest of this is mainly about Joel Embiid. Typically, to win a championship or even get to the finals, you normally need one guy who can average a bajillion points. It's got to be Joel Embiid being awesome and proving that he really is one of the 6 best players in the league or something. I mean, it's a pretty tough group to get into, but Embiid should be in that group. And there's questions about why he isn't, or why he is not that guy all the time, whether it's stamina, focus, I don't know. I don't know what it is. But if he's not going to do that, then Philly is not going to go on a deep playoff run. And in fact, they could lose in the first round. I mean, right now they would be playing the Celtics, and we can talk about matchups in a second. Now, with everything I just said, and I've said this a little bit before, I'm terrified of the Sixers in round 1 as a Celtics fan, because if Embiid is that dude and he's unstoppable on one end, You know, he's just bodying guys, posting up and dunking and all that stuff. And then on the other end, stopping the ball from going in the net. Then I don't know how the hell the Celtics win that series unless they just hit an insane amount of jump shots and floaters and things like that. And to be fair, they got the personnel to do it, but you got to actually do it. And the other thing to be said is they don't have Horford anymore. And to be fair, the Celtics, they picked the perfect time to let Horford go. But they still would love to have that type of guy, right? The dude who can stretch Embiid out on one end and then defend him in the post on the other. He's just a really tough matchup, man. I mean, we saw that Raptors series, the on-off numbers with Embiid. It was when Embiid was in there, the Sixers were better. When he wasn't in there, the Raptors were so much better that's how they won the series. And even then, it took the craziest shot of all time in Game 7. I mean, Embiid is that good when he is at full stamina and fully locked in or whatever. I don't know why I need to say that about a professional basketball player, but I do. And that's the X factor in every series. We can talk all day long. I know I'm just focusing on Embiid pretty much, but to me, that's the thing to talk about. Like, if Embiid is truly a dominant force, take any team in the Eastern Conference and I could picture Philly beating them. Okay? Like, the Bucks. Of course, we get it. The Bucks are amazing. If Embiid stops Giannis from scoring at the rim and then averages 30, the Sixers are going to win that series. And both of those things are possible. Embiid can be that good. The thing about that Raptors series that was so crazy with Embiid's on-off numbers is his stats weren't even that good. He averaged like 18 points on really bad shooting. But he's just so threatening on offense to where you got to bring attention to him, and then he can be such a devastating rim protector that it makes the difference. I mean, look, just to quote the numbers because I just want to, that Raptors series. When Embiid was in the game against the Raptors in that 7-game series, about 240 minutes, the Sixers were plus 18. And then in the 99 minutes he did not play in that series, they were minus 52. So there you go. Embiid matters, is the point I'm making. Anyway, and that's why I'm scared of him as a Celtics fan. If we think about other series, so if Philly meets, let's say Philly gets to 5 and they meet Miami in round 1, I think the way that Philly would defend the stuff off of Bam would be most interesting, in the sense of, could Embiid defend Bam in the post? Could the Sixers keep up with Miami's guys moving off the ball? Because they'll typically have Bam around the elbow or something, and guys are cutting off of that and everything. Because if you can deal with that stuff, and I do think Philly has the personnel to deal with that stuff, if you can slow that stuff down, then I feel like you've got Miami kind of beat. The interesting thing would be if Bam can defend Embiid. And I think there's a case that maybe he could. I mean, he's given up some inches to Embiid, but he's a pretty sturdy post defender. And the thing is, like, Philly's always going to have shooters you can leave open, mainly Horford, because, you know, Horford, he can shoot, but he's not a shooter. You know, he takes like 9 years to shoot a 3, and, you know, we knew it was an awkward fit, and it didn't work out. And we see how it's going with that at the power forward position. So yeah, I do give Indiana, not Indiana, we'll talk about them in a second. I do give Miami a chance to defend Embiid in the post, and you know, off of that, it's whatever. Like, if you can stop Embiid from killing you in the post, you're probably going to beat the Sixers, because we already know how awkward their offense is. Anyway, if we move on to Indiana, so I'm assuming Miles Turner would be defending Embiid. Can Miles body up Embiid in the post like that? Here's the thing. Miles, he's a good rim protector. He's a good pick and roll defender. I think he can switch sometimes, not all the time. But can he just not get pushed out of the way when Embiid starts backing him down? I don't know the answer to that. I think Miles would be good at contesting Embiid's pump fakes and the hook shot and all that, but I kind of feel like Embiid might be able to just get so close to the rim on Miles that it doesn't really matter. Whereas with Bam, I feel like Bam has a little bit of Horford in him, where the fact that he's shorter than Embiid might actually help him because it allows him to just kind of get under Embiid a little bit. And for what it's worth, Bam is apparently heavier than Miles Turner while also being a couple inches shorter. So there you go. Now if Philly meets Toronto, well, they have the other Embiid stopper in Marc Gasol. And of course Toronto is littered with dudes who can reach at Embiid and all that stuff. So yeah, basically I could picture Philly losing in round 1. I could picture them going to the conference finals. If you even wanted to talk me into they're still the one team that can beat the Bucks, be my guest, man. There's a case to be made, and it usually starts and ends with Joel Embiid.